Welcome everyone to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from Full Pelt Music. Shortly we will be joined by Dissonants to chat with them about their recent single Harlequin, which we have featured over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Full Pelt Music on social media. We are on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that subscribe button, hit that like button wherever you're watching or listening. Well, welcome Dissonance to the Full Pelt Music Discover New Music podcast. Thank you all for joining me. We have got Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
We've got Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hi.
Cuba.
Good day.
And we've got Harvey.
Hiya.
And we have got Aaron. So, hello, Aaron.
Hi.
Thank you all for joining us on the podcast. Exciting times for the band, obviously. You've just put out your new single, Harlequin, which we're going to discuss shortly. But obviously, it's been a unique time for the band. Obviously, some changes have been happening, so we can discuss that as well. But we start every Discover New Music podcast with the same section. We call it the origin story. Now, obviously, the origin story of the band will have changed slightly recently, obviously with the changes we've just been talking about. So it might be slightly different to, the traditional story we get to hear. So it could be quite interesting. So guys, what is the origin story for Dissonance? How did you end up as you are now?
Yeah, so we originally, it was me, Mike, Aaron, our old drummer Chris, and our old vocalist Reese. Me, Reese and Mike had been in a band called Forgotten Shores, and Mike and Aaron had been in a band called Gone by Tomorrow. Both of those projects ended, and we were all friends, so we thought, let's make a new band.
Yeah.
And that's basically where we got our original roots, I guess. Lockdown kind of screwed us over a bit in the members department. So eventually we ended up losing a couple of drummers. We got Cuba in on drums, and our original vocalist Reese left towards sort of the end of 2021. So I stepped up from guitar to vocals, Cuba stepped up from drums to guitar, and then Cuba knew Harvey. So naturally we got him in, and that's how we got here.
Yeah. So obviously, it's been a fun couple of years for everyone in the music industry. Obviously, it's pretty much wiped everyone out, but you guys have obviously had that added turmoil or changeover, which obviously you guys have emerged from now with Harlequin. Before we touch on Harlequin though, obviously you mentioned it there, Ben, you've made the transition from guitar to vocals, and obviously Cuba yourself, you've made the transition from drums to guitar. Both obviously probably quite challenging sort of transitions. How have you both found the move between roles? Perhaps start with Cuba.
Yeah, okay. I mean, for me it's been pretty nice, to be fair, because even though I joined the band, I've been in the band for surprisingly more than a year now. Like, I originally joined back in March last year. And obviously there was still a whole load of stuff going on with the whole pandemic and lockdowns, and gigs weren't really happening. So as far as anything that I was actually doing in the band, most of the time I was just playing guitar anyway, because we were having sessions where we were just getting together, seeing how we gel when we're writing, and how we all work together in that kind of context. And so being primarily a guitarist anyway, it's been a pretty natural transition for me. Not too difficult at all.
Excellent. And obviously, Ben, the transition from guitarist to singer has been done before, some with great success, some not so much, So how have you found that?
I'm just going to add, before I go into mine, Cuba's a much better guitarist than I am anyway. It was kind of a natural progression, because I'd done little bits of vocals here and there on previous records, but it does come with sort of a lot of pressure being up front, and it's sort of, I don't want to say like the main focus of attention, but being a front man and all, and having to actually not just sing but like
engage. Yeah.
So it's a lot of pressure, but I hopefully am living up to it, and I'm happy with what I've done on Harlequin, and the guys seem to be happy with it, so that's all I can really ask for.
Well, speak now or forever hold your peace, everyone else. Are you happy?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's we've been calling it the musical merry-go-round in this band for the last 6 months. We're just going through members and changing instruments and stuff like that. But I mean, sort of Ben and Cuba changing instruments, and then Harvey coming in to the band as a new member, sort of all at the same time. Everyone's absolutely smashed it, and it's it's been as smooth as can be. Sort of with so much upheaval. It's been it's been really good.
Yeah. And sorry, Harvey. Yeah, what are you going to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the general consensus I've had from people about the track is that Ben's killing it on vocals.
Yeah.
So yeah, all good stuff.
Excellent. Yeah. I would certainly.
Good to hear.
Yeah, and I'd certainly.
He's like, yeah.
That ego, that front man ego, is starting to swell up.
Yeah.
So obviously, the fruits of your labour. Harlequin, you guys have just put out your first single with this incarnation of the band. So we've featured it obviously on the Discover New Music playlist. Hence, we've got you guys onto the podcast. Obviously, by it featuring on the playlist, clearly we've enjoyed it. So what can you tell us about the song? Both kind of conceptually, what's the song about? How did the song come together? How was it written? Far away.
So I'll let Cuba do this one, because he
Right. So I mean, this was a song that I wrote it a while ago, because originally I had being in college. Me and Harvey have actually been in a band before together during college years, which life stuff happened. People went to uni. We weren't very organized, didn't know what we were doing at the time, so it didn't really come to anything. And I'd spent a long time thinking, I'm just going to do some kind of solo project. So I had a bunch of songs written, and that was probably around about the time when I first met the guys back in 2019. And I had written a load of these songs, one of which eventually was Harlequin. And coming into the band and deciding what the next steps were going to be, put that forward as one of the options, and everyone was really like, this is a good song. So I was very happy at the acceptance of that. But the general premise behind the song, I feel like there's a bit of an in-joke with it, because the way I described it was I basically summarized it as, I wrote this because I was clowning over a girl. So that's become the kind of ongoing in-joke of the thing. But for like clearing the record, it was off the backside of coming out of a more sort of sketchy, kind of abusive realm relationship, and kind of just figuring out the process of that. And I did originally have a bunch of lyrics written for it, which the chorus that we used is the original lyrics that I had, but for the final thing, Ben actually rewrote all of the rest of the stuff because my original lyrics were terrible. And I couldn't be happier with the way that it's come out. It's beyond anything I could have even hoped for or imagined it would have been. So incredibly grateful for all of the people that were involved and all of the effort that the guys in the band have put into making it what it is as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Cuba. Has anyone got anything they'd like to add on Harlequin?
So I guess obviously like Cuba sent me his original lyrics, and I kind of I wanted to live up to it, and I didn't want it to be sort of a surface level like oh I'm sad because of a girl sort of song. I wanted it to be a bit more of like sort of the aftermath, where you're looking back thinking like, have I misunderstood everything? Is it is the situation how I thought it was? So I think I just wanted it to be a bit less sort of like surface level and a bit more like, you know, questioning yourself rather than just being sort of sad.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously, yeah, track has come out really, really well, and you guys obviously should be really proud of it. What about the track stood out for you? Because obviously you guys, you know, have just had this change. You're coming back post-pandemic, new lineup. This is your opening statement as a band now, really. What made you choose Harlequin to be that statement?
I think it was just sort of coming out of, obviously we 2-member change basically in terms of, you know, drummer and vocalist, sort of go back sort of the last 12 months. It's sort of like, right, we've got this new lineup, we want to, you know, it's almost like a new first impression almost, and we sort of thought, right, we want to sort of set a tone for how the band is going to sound going forward, I think was what we wanted to do, and sort of, you know, set that sort of like a, you know, I said in a previous interview, sort of a line in the sand of, right, this was the band before, this is the band going forward. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like hugely different to what we've done previously. It's sort of still in the same realm, but it's definitely a sort of push in a different direction. Yeah. And I think it's one of those songs when there was sort of the general consensus when we all heard it, it was like, yeah, this is the song to sort of, you know, come back with, and, you know, going to land the biggest hit basically and the biggest punch. So I think that's sort of, you know, where it came from for me anyway.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Mike. Yeah, anyone else, you know, echoing those sentiments or have a different feeling about the song at all?
Yeah, I think same thing as Mike. It was just, you know, the best song to showcase the new lineup, the new sound for the band going forwards, and it just, yeah, I think it was the song that we all agreed would be the best to release first.
Yeah, and without hearing obviously what else you guys have got, you know, so far I think obviously right decision made, and obviously the track as well has got a really cool video that you guys have put out as well, so we should touch on that. Obviously listeners to the podcast can find the video on YouTube. Just search for the band on YouTube, Dissonance and Harlequin, and you'll pop that up, and I'm sure we'll stick the link to it in the description for the podcast as well, so you can probably click through from there. So yeah, where did the concept come from for the video, and what was it like to record for you guys?
Essentially the concept of the video is me pushing my love of black and gold on everyone. There wasn't really much of like an overarching concept. We just thought, you know, well, I thought that it's a nice color combination. We could make it work with the lights and it would look sort of pretty vibey. And then our videographer Ollie Duncanson did a great job editing it, so, you know, we've got all these like lens flares and things in there that make it look extra cool. Yeah, but it generally it wasn't sort of like a big we didn't have like a storyline or any sort of any metaphorical stuff that we wanted to get in there. It's just sort of like just an aesthetic that we went for, and, you know, hopefully it did look really cool.
Yeah, it does. And you guys must be really happy, Mike.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, I think for us coming back, we were like, we didn't really want to do a story. We wanted to be like, this is the new lineup, and sort of make it performance based, so everyone, you know, knows who the new members are. Obviously, because, you know, there's, you know, 2 different people in different roles now and a new member. So it's like, we want to make sure that, you know, it's focused on us, sort of, so that everyone could see this is the new lineup, this is the band. And like Ben says, sort of, we didn't really have sort of an idea for the video. Like, Ben had the black and gold idea, and I said, oh, maybe we could do something with like flashing bulbs, and we obviously did something with that. And yeah, it was just sort of like, it just sort of snowballed from there, just in sort of terms of the idea. It was a really simple idea, but obviously, like Ben says, Ollie did a really good job, and, you know, it looks really cool, and yeah, just smashed it.
Yeah, no, and it does work really, really well. I've got to say, really enjoyed that. And obviously, you know, you've put this package out, you know, the song and the video, and obviously, you know, as we keep saying, you know, the changes in the lineup and everything. So obviously, in this day of social media, you know, feedback is instantaneous, pretty much. You know, how have you guys felt? You know, your fan base and perhaps new fans have reacted to Harlequin and the changes. You know, what has the reaction been for you guys?
General consensus, I think. Oh, you go, Ben. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say I spent like a good few days just looking at YouTube comments and stuff, and obsessing about whether people liked it or not.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. We just sort of like it's always the same thing with putting out music. It's just you just want to know what people think, and you, like you say, you want the feedback. So, overall, I think it's been really positive. I think we're all really happy with how it's been received, and obviously, there's always a risk when you change your sound slightly that people go, oh, not keen on this. But I think everyone's sort of, who's listened to the track and who listened to it pre-release as well, like, no, this is a step in the right direction. You're doing the right thing, which is always nice to hear. I think reception generally has been really good. Yeah, couldn't have asked for more, to be honest.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, guys. Yeah, and obviously, anyone listening to Harlequin and really, really enjoying it is probably sitting there and wondering, well, when can I expect more of this to come? Obviously, in this day and age, bands have release schedules, and obviously you can't always announce everything. But when could we roughly expect something a little meatier from the band? Is there plans for an EP or an album? What is the future over the next few months looking like for you guys?
I mean, we've not got anything sort of set in stone just yet. I mean, we've got loads of demos, so there'll be something, I'm sure, sort of later in the year, and shows as well to go along with that. So, but nothing, set in stone at the moment.
Well, go for it, Mike.
I was going to add to that. I think with today, sort of how sort of the music industry is working, like, it's great that everyone can sort of put out music, but you do find that there's sort of a really short attention span on sort of releases. Something we found on previous EPs that the 2 or 3 songs that are singles, sort of they get quite a lot of traction, but then sort of the album or EP tracks, people just don't listen to them, and generally, and it's sort of like you put the hard work into it and you want people to do it. So I think going forward for us, I mean, at this point we'll probably, things might change, but we're probably looking at more doing like a single every couple of months. Probably what we're leaning more towards doing at this point, because you put all the hard work and time and effort into writing these songs, and you want to give them the push they deserve and the love they deserve. So we're hoping to have some stuff out towards the end of the year, sort of in the last sort of 3 months of this year is probably what we're looking at realistically at this point. But obviously, we do want to. We've got so much stuff we're sat on that I think is really good, and it'd be really good to get that out and people to listen to some more new age Dissonance.
Yeah, definitely. And you are, you're right really in what you say about the short attention spans and the way the industry has evolved over the last decade or so. I mean, obviously, for a lot of people, Spotify now is the go-to streaming service, and it's quite obvious with the layout of Spotify. You click on an album to listen to an album, and as you say, you can see the streaming figures for the singles, for that, obviously we can be quite high, and then you look at the streaming figures for the rest of the track, and obviously it's the album that obviously drops off the more as you go. So I can certainly understand the approach of multiple singles, especially at this point of your career. With that, you touched on, Ben, I believe a little while ago, potentially live shows, which was my next question, because obviously, we talked about feedback and being instantaneous nowadays with, social media and everything. But obviously, the best way for a band really to gauge how they're doing as a band, and obviously how the songs are faring out there, is to play them live, play them to people, and see what reaction you get. So, when might fans roughly again expect to see Dissonance up on a stage?
So again, nothing set in stone currently. We're looking at sort of very roughly, maybe sort of like August, September time. We're currently looking at trying to book shows. So, if people want to message us and say where they want to see us, awesome, please do, because we're trying to book stuff up. So
or if oh, there you go, Alex, right?
I was just going to say, or if any bands are like going out and doing some shows or tours or whatever, and just send us a message, hit us up.
Yeah, I think it's been quite difficult trying to book shows. Obviously, we haven't really let on that you know, we were close to releasing anything, and we were sort of trying to keep it quite sort of hush hush for like the surprise factor. So sort of now we're at the stage right now, songs out, people know what to expect from us. Like now we get the ball rolling on the live side of things. But yeah, I mean, trying to book some stuff up. I hope, you know, if anyone's listening to this, and you know, please just message us on all socials. We'll be more than happy to do shows. You know, that's what we want to do. That's you know, at the end of the day, why most bands do what they do. They want to play live and have the magic of the live show, and yeah, we want to get doing that sooner rather than later.
And obviously, you know, you guys have you know, played shows over the years for obviously, you know, early Dissonance and obviously previous bands you've mentioned that you've been in. The next section of the podcast is something we call set list science. So, you know, it's a simple question, really. You know, how much attention do you pay to the structure of a set list? And have you got any rules that you're you know, planning to use? And obviously this might be the first time you guys have actually discussed this, so it could be quite interesting.
So previously, it's a lot of the set lists have been put together by Mike, but I think the general rule we go with is sort of like a rise, fall, rise sort of thing. Like always end on a high, leave them wanting more, but don't sort of keep it too monotone. Sort of don't do all fast songs, don't do all slow songs. You know, you gotta mix it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that when we've been putting set lists together, I actually probably obsess a little bit too much over it. I'm like thinking about like what songs working, because I think the general thing is, you know, you want the rise, sort of the mid set lull a little bit, and then you sort of build again. But it's finding that balance if you don't want to go too down in the middle of the set, because everyone's like, oh, well, this is a bit boring, isn't it, really? And you want to keep the energy up. So yeah, it's sort of you know, start with the, you know, big bang, sort of try and keep the energy levels up through the middle, and then you end on, you know, I think as every band does, you end on your biggest songs, so most popular songs. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of probably what we'll end up doing going forward as well, and unless anyone else has got any other ideas, put them on the spot right now.
I think maybe just scrap it all and do like an Elton John tribute set or something. Like.
Fleetwood Mac.
Sounds Oh, well, every band certainly does need a set list fanatic in it. It's always an interesting portion of the podcast asking bands about this. So, yeah, some people have told me, you know, they literally kind of dream of set lists as they, you know, sleep, and, you know, what they can do with a set list. But you do hear a lot, as you guys talked about, you know, that energy curve, really, I think it's called, you know, keeping it up and down. So, yeah, obviously, yeah, looking forward to being able to catch you guys on the road further down the line. Obviously looking forward to potentially some new music later on in the year. So everyone listening, as we talked about, it's all social media these days. So obviously they need to come and follow you guys on social media so they can keep track of when these shows are going to happen and when these singles are going to come out. So I've got my notes, and you guys have done relatively well with your social media handles. There's only one slight difference in it. So you've got Twitter and Instagram. You are Dissonance_UK. And Facebook, you managed to capture the holy grail of just dissonance. So sometimes all three are different and like completely different. You know, it's good when you can obviously get them all the same, but that's where listeners need to head to keep up with you guys. So obviously, you know, as we come towards a close, it'd be interesting just to touch on, you know, with the slight change of sounds you guys have had, you know, what your influences are going forward. You know, what influences are you taking and putting into Dissonance now?
Heavy. No. But I mean, certainly I feel like a lot of the stuff we've got is going more in a less kind of alternative punk rocky sound, and more to the kind of alternative, a bit more metalcore-y, but still not metalcore, because it's a bit more intricate than that, I guess, is the best word I can think of. But certainly in discussion, we've talked about, you know, bands like Dayseeker, Spirit Box, even Architects have come up a few times, and actually Bring Me the Horizon as well are quite quite heavy on some of the influences for some more of the other demos that we've been working on. But yeah, it's a change for sure.
And I mean, vocally, I'm. This is going to sound really weird, but I'm very much influenced by like old Coldplay and like.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
and like weird post-hardcore bands like Saka Survive and Thrice.
Yeah.
That's a lot of my influences from that sort of like vibey, sort of more ambient sort of stuff. So that's definitely going to be coming a lot more into the frame,
yeah,
as it were.
Yeah, Thrice and Coldplay, not often mentioned together. But yeah, no, obviously, yeah, really interesting to just kind of get that. And obviously, I can hear certain influences you mentioned there coming across already on Harlequin. Not so much the Coldplay, but yeah. Well, yeah, thank you guys all for giving up your time and coming on the podcast. Obviously, the podcast is designed for people to discover new music, hence we call it the Discover New Music podcast. So hopefully some folks will be checking out Harlequin and checking out you guys coming out of this. Obviously, follow the band on their social media channels. That's the main thing for you guys. What would be your final message for listeners today? All of you, what would you like to say to listeners?
Please just go check out our music, please.
Yeah, I think I'd like to just say, thank you to everyone who has checked out the track already. I know that there's hundreds of thousands of bands out there who are all incredible doing the same thing. So if people to stick with us and listen to us, we really appreciate it. And I don't want to use the classic big things coming soon, but I might have to. But yeah,
I think you just did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So just sort of thank you for because obviously it's been a couple of years since we put anything out, and the support has been incredible, and we are really grateful for it, and we do really appreciate it a lot.
Yeah. Cuba, anything you would like to add?
Just again, like Mike says, thanks very much. Definitely to everybody who's checked out the new song, everybody who's welcomed the new sound as well. The response has been so fantastic, and it's I can't express how grateful I am for how it's been accepted, and I'm just really excited for all you lovely people to hear the awesome stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes.
Excellent. Harvey, over to you.
Yeah, just same as the others. Big thanks to everyone who's checked out the band, listened to the song, and shown their love and support for it. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Stay tuned because there's some good stuff coming. And I'm super excited to be part of this journey. So big thanks to the Dissonance boys for bringing me on.
And saving the best to last. Aaron, you sat. He's gone. He didn't read.
Perfect timing.
Obviously didn't want to give his thoughts. Bless him. Gave him the big setup. Oh well.
Honestly, you wouldn't understand how that is the most Aaron thing.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Well, I think that is my favourite end to a podcast ever, guys. So no, thank you for that. That is excellent. Guys, obviously, thank you again for giving me your time. Listeners, make sure you're checking out the band on social media. You're checking out Harlequin, and obviously, you're keeping up to date for when these shows are going to hopefully come down the line. So thank you so much. And we will catch you down the line. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Dissonance. Make sure you keep up to date with everything coming from the band by following them on social media. And of course, if you would, please do follow Full Pelt Music on social media. We are on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. And we will be back soon with another edition of the Discover New Music podcast.